this river or this inlet freezes at about 2 inches at a time because there's 19 stacks in a millefeuille of river ice on the edge of it.
It's a French cooking term. To river ice. Love it.
Layers.
Maple syrup dripping from his fake road. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he should.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room. It is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. How the hell are you today, Mr. Samurai?
Hey, guys. Happy Library Day.
Happy Library Day here.
No, Library.
Happy library workers,
no,
right?
Apparently, yeah, library workers, apparently.
Well, that's
no, I
not,
was listening to
that's right.
NPR the other day.
Library. Library.
No, not according to NPR. NPR pronounces it library for some reason.
Oh, so it's this then, right here, library.
Yeah, that's how they pronounce it.
There you
That's
go,
the way they
library,
were doing it.
library.
I don't know what the heck they were talking about, but this one announcer just kept calling it library. I'm like, you're on NPR. Most of us learn how to say this correctly at 12?
Well, I wore the appropriate hat then for,
Oh yes, the Dewey Decimal System. And if anybody wants to know, if you want to know how to make a millefeuille, you can go to section 641 of nonfiction, and that is where the cooking arts are all kept. Layers of millefeuille.
Layers of millefeuille.
River ice would be in the physical arts, which I think is the physical sciences, which I think is 600. I'm not sure.
It's the Dewey Decimal System, folks. The Dewey Decimal System.
The Dewey
if you're not
Decimal
familiar with it, yes. So.
Well, this guy, he also, not only did he want to simplify everything, like with the numbers and all that, he wanted to do it with the language, spelling. He wanted to do spelling out phonetically.
Phonetically.
Yeah, and he bought something up in Lake Placid called Adirondack Lodge, LOJ. Oh, he built it. He didn't buy it.
Lodge. He built Adirondack Lodge. How did he spell Adirondack?
He left the C out, I think.
D-A-K. Right, yeah.
Yeah, D-A-K. So, yeah, the guy was, to each his own. But, and maybe if that had caught on, we wouldn't have to sit through spelling bees.
Imagine everything would be just phonetic at that point.
Trying to peel this friggin' navel orange here.
All right.
It's one tough navel. I mean,
why are you trying to peel an orange?
Well, as you know, we start off every show with me eating something.
So you said to pick something and eat it, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I also need the vitamin C. I'm not feeling a little under the weather today.
Why are you feeling under the weather today?
Got the second COVID shot yesterday. Got the Moderna.
Did you?
And the after effects did kick in a little bit on me.
Gotcha.
So I've been running a fever most of the day, but I'm going to suck it up.
You might as well suck it up.
Put on my big girl panties.
Big girl panties on, right? Exactly. Yep. Well, we have a pretty damn good guest tonight, so we should bring him out and get going on that as well.
Yeah, I hear he's under the weather too.
He's a little under the weather, but for another reason. Let's bring him out and let's find out why he's under the weather, folks. Welcome to the show, please, Mr. John Companick of Spellbound Brewing. There he is, right there.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. So, why are you under the weather today as well?
I would say probably mostly from the bourbon, but the wine maybe a little bit too. Yesterday, happy birthday! Yesterday.
Yesterday was your birthday. There we go. Happy birthday,
John.
Yes, right, thank you. Oh, look at that! You're quick. Jeez,
right on the ball there.
You with an orange slice.
Yeah. No, I actually it's from going to the library.
You spent a lot of time at the library drinking yesterday. Right?
Well, it's the libraries are super spreader events now.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah. Well, that's the fruit that you lie. It's a lie berry.
Lie berry, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Why not?
That was terrible.
It works though. In a pinch. Why not? A for effort.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, what Dave was talking about before, the guy spelling phonetic, I guess you would take out the C in your last name, right? It would just be C-O-M or even K-O-M-P-A-N-I-K, right?
Yeah, you'd have to turn the C into a K. Yep.
Right. So,
actually, it's strangely enough, I've seen old books that my parent, my dad had, and he spelled it with a K, which was really weird.
Really?
K in the front. I don't know, no idea why, but
interesting.
Who knows?
Maybe he was a friend with Mr. Dewey.
This is true. It could be, or he's a friend with the guy. We did a special sports Mets Corner podcast last night, and we had the gentleman that invented the K Corner at Shea Stadium for Doc Gooden back in the '80s, and he named the K Corner K, and then corner with a K. So maybe he was talking to him. Could have been,
from where John's from, he might be a Phillies fan.
Actually, yes, Phillies. Yeah. I'm Jersey. So yes, Phillies fan. I used to actually like the Colorado Rockies back when Larry Walker used to play. So that'll give you some idea.
Great player.
Yeah,
sure.
He was.
Why not?
Yeah, back when I used to, people used to appreciate players more than the teams. But
well, they say people with the players moving around so often, people root for laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Yeah, you're rooting for laundry. Yeah. I can't tell you how many.
You're in it for your team colors. That's about it.
I got to tell you, I mean, I'm Jersey Johnny for two reasons. One, obviously New Jersey, and two, obviously I'm a jersey collector, and I wear a lot of jerseys, and I have a lot of jerseys, and I can't. I probably have as many jerseys of players that are not on the teams that I have the jerseys for anymore than I do actually ones that they actually are still on those teams.
He may have more jerseys than I've got logoed glassware. We'll have to count that one out.
We'll have to count that one.
So John, you're so Spellbound Brewing, Mount Holly, correct?
That is correct.
That's correct. I used to work in Mount Holly for a moving company.
Matt Potensky says happy birthday, John.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
So I used to work there. A moving company was that little industrial park.
That's pretty much our building.
You're actually that's right. You're not too far from where I used to work.
10 Lippincott Lane.
But I was 21 at the time. It's just you guys weren't around because that was a very, very long time ago.
21 at the time. I don't think Budweiser was around then, was it?
Oh man, that was Prohibition. Yeah,
it was Prohibition. No one was drinking.
No one was drinking.
No, that was Brian's era.
That was Brian. And Brian did say, "Have fun." He's in a meeting right now. So Matt, Matt, you got to get on the ball. Brian's in a meeting, so you're the producer du jour.
We usually have Brian look stuff up that we forget. But usually Matt beats him to the punch anyway because according to Brian, Matt doesn't have as big of a lag.
This is true. But he does. But he does have Sasquatch fingers, so you'll see a couple of interesting spellings. Of certain words.
No, he's going to be really careful with spelling today. So, John and I, you and I are going to open beers, though, right?
We are going to open beers. Why don't we open our beers? Why don't you open yours first? Tell us what you're drinking.
Oh, do I have to? Oh, yeah. So I'm drinking. So I spent a year. Actually, spent most of the pandemic in Rhode Island for work, and I've got a moniker. G dang it. All right.
Moniker Brewing, G dang it. Yeah.
It was their first IPA. They've branched out into a bunch of other IPAs. I've had a few of them. I've been to their brewery a few times. Froze my butt outside. Because their heaters.
As we all have.
Well, their heaters. They had the propane heaters, and their propane tanks were actually freezing.
Oh, jeez.
Oh well.
Oh my God, how cold was it?
It was so damn cold that the how cold.
Propane's like 120, 140 degrees below zero is when it stays liquid.
No, it stays liquid. However, the vapors don't make it
freeze
to the valve.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cold.
That's pretty damn cold. And speaking of logo glassware, I'm putting in my Rhode Island Brewers Association glass.
There you go. Very nice.
New Jersey's got to do what they do in Rhode Island. That'd be awesome. They've got this passport thing. You go around, you get your stamp. After about a third, you get the glass. After about another third, you get a hat. And at the end, you get a god-awful collaboration beer of all the brewers together. Or at least the one I got was it was handed to me by one of the brewers. I won't say who. And he said, please don't tell anybody I gave this to you. And you probably don't want to drink this.
Well, okay.
He said, and I had no hand in this.
And there you go.
You can't wait to have that. It's like, hey,
exactly.
Smell this milk. Is it bad?
Exactly.
Well, seeing as we promote,
you have an older brother.
There you go. Yeah. Seeing as we, exactly. Yeah, seeing as we promote this podcast in Rhode Island too. Good thing you didn't say what brewery it was. So,
no, and I'm sure every
there's only like 30 breweries in Rhode Island. We're approaching 130 in Jersey now, right?
Less than 30. Yeah. They're at about 26 now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
So. And when I had left the state, I had visited every single one of the ones that had been opened.
There you go.
Well, for the longest time, Jersey was one of the per capita drinking age. It was one of the farthest behind in terms of, I think it was like 41st.
Oh, sure.
At one point, but now there's so many breweries opening up. It's like literally, it's probably in the top 10 at this point. I don't even know anymore. I lose track because of, people come to the brewery. It's like, hey, have you been to so and so? I'm like, what?
Where?
Another one.
Well, but also,
when did they open? Oh, yesterday they opened. When did they get their license? The day before.
And not coincidentally, New Jersey back then was the number one distributed into state for beer.
Sure.
For a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I believe it.
It's getting close to that again now. I mean, there's so many brands that are coming into the state now, and that has a lot to do with the pandemic. We've talked about that several times, but it's just nobody's there's so few taps available now, and beer moving on them anywhere really, and there's so much beer available. Everybody's canning, and that's the same thing. Obviously, we'll talk about that with you and Spellbound a little bit, But yeah, all over. So that's one of the reasons you get so much beer in Jersey and elsewhere too. But it's just so much of an influx in Jersey. Matt wanted to post this up. He said he will not be bound by his poor ability to spell today.
That's clever. That is
very clever, Matt. Very clever. There you go.
He probably had to look that up at the library.
Check that at the library. Exactly. All right.
So what are you drinking, John?
I am going to be
Johnny,
drinking. Seeing as you don't have any Spellbound and Mr. Companick is not drinking, I will be drinking. Look at that. He's drinking that.
I'm not. I'm just.
He's just showing it.
You're just propping it. The Enlightened. Yeah, I was going to get down there last weekend. We're probably going to show up this weekend.
What are you drinking? Show it again, Johnny.
It's Major Nelson IPA.
Right. We had Johnny and I had a discussion earlier if what was the highest rank that Healy made it to.
I said lieutenant. I believe it was lieutenant, correct?
I thought he got promoted at one point to captain.
It's very possible. I just said too bad there's not a hop named Healy. Then you could do Lieutenant Healy.
Not yet.
There
might be one
Major
in development.
Nelson IPA,
Who knows?
Lieutenant Healy IPA, and then there's no Genie hop though. So I mean that's out the window. So
yeah, why would they not have one? That sounds right. Oh, look at that. That looks good actually.
We can do an Eden hop or.
See, now I'm in the mood for a beer again.
Now you want a beer? You have the Enlightened right there. Crack it open. There we go. Well, cheers. Happy birthday, John.
Hey, happy birthday. Thank you. Cheers.
You got it. Cheers. Oh, good. Tasty beer.
This may not make me feel better, but it make me care less.
So, I have a question about Major Nelson. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's go all the way back. Let's start back.
All the way back.
All the way back
when
the dinosaurs came.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
all that. Well, you're not the first Mount Holly brewery, right?
No, Phil Gidiot in town. They were a year ahead of us, and they kind of like set the groundwork. So like when we approached the council, as soon as we did it, they're like, you know what? Yes, bring it. Bring more breweries, and basically they were super enthused. They really made it very easy for us. Like we literally didn't have to do that much.
So like they jumped through the hoops.
They really did. They were fantastic, and
awesome.
And I think it's really cool because we now in town we have multiple wineries. We got the distillery.
Trainwreck Distilling, is that right?
Yep, Trainwreck.
Yep, Laredo Winery.
Yep, Valenzano, I think, and then what the heck, Iron Plow.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but it's really cool.
Definitely not a dry town.
No, not at all. Like literally, we're all within maybe about a half a mile of each other too, which is cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep.
You don't even need an Uber. You just stumble from one to the other.
Just walk from one to the other. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when did you first get into craft beer? Like what was your first craft beer you ever had? Not beer.
Well, you want to go that far back?
I'm going back. Let's start at the beginning.
I would say, and I don't even know if you would consider it craft beer, but like the first beer that I feel like was crafty to me was way back when, like maybe Guinness. But then the other one that I really appreciated for the first time, like, oh my God, this is beer, was Hockershore Weiss.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So two of my favorites that really got me into it. And strangely enough, like I drink Guinness once a year.
Let me guess which day.
A day that just passed about a month ago.
About a month or so ago,
yeah. But yeah, so literally, Hawker Shore was one of the first beers that I was like, wow, it's like bubblegummy. It's like it's such a delicious beer. I still like it to this day.
Hawker Shore is it's definitely up there. Mine for me, Weihenstephaner edges Hawker Shore out for the Hefeweiss.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're both right there. I mean, it's not like it edges it out, like blows it away. It's just, for me, is a notch above for my palate.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of them right there. It's such a well-made beer. But yeah, no, that's awesome. That's yeah. I mean, I somewhere in there. I mean, I was probably one of my first IPAs was, and Dave and I have talked about this before. It was Harpoon.
Same
IPA.
here.
It's easy drinking. It's a great beer.
I mean, it's way back,
but back then it was a challenging beer.
It was
because you weren't used to anything like that. So what you brought up a great point where so many beer drinkers in this country were so tired of the American adjunct pilsners that we turned to imports. Right, and
sure.
you got the Germans, like you said, the Guinness. You get some of the Sam Smith over here at that point.
Samuel Smith was coming over here. He's drinking that.
And if you were
Taddy Porter was one of my favorites.
And if you were brave enough, you'd and your friends challenged you, you'd drink the Zingu.
Yeah, right.
Which nowadays, none of us knew what the hell that beer was. Now I'll drink the hell out of it. It's a Schwartz beer.
Yeah,
right?
It's funny, but yeah, and just think back then, like you would walk into a place, like once you actually started to appreciate craft beer, it's like all the taps were not crafty, except you might get lucky and there'd be like Sam Adams on tap, or Sierra Nevada. Like that was a treat. Like, oh my God, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale on tap.
Yeah,
Sierra
like, Nevada Pale, Sam Adams Lager. It was great. And then you also had then Pete's Wicked Ale started to make its way down.
Oh yeah, Pete's Wicked Winter was one of like me and my wife's favorite beers. Like, although I don't think it exists anymore. But
no, it doesn't.
No, they don't.
No.
Unfortunately, but it was good though. It was a good beer. Matt says his, just to keep him up here, it was Victory Hop Devil. So
Victory Hop Devil. That's another great beer. I mean,
good beer.
Yeah, we did have a segment, the top 3 IPAs that got you into IPAs.
Top 3 IPAs that got you into IPAs, and that was.
And our guest brought up Hop Devil. Johnny and I had the same exact list. Actually, it's the only show where we had the same exact top 3.
Yeah.
Usually beforehand, we'll check before the show and we'll switch off. Okay, you take this one, I'll take this one. If we had ones that compared, that were equal, but this time we're just like, screw it. We're just doing our.
And back then, how many IPAs were there really back then? So what could we do? I mean, we had the same list, or the same age. We had the same list. There
really, it wasn't that many.
Yeah.
So
no.
Because again, that's a more aggressive, more advanced style. I mean, obviously today everything you sell is an IPA, but nobody cares about Schwartz beers anymore.
I'm drinking 2 Spellbounds today, and they're both IPAs. So
I started off with an IPA because I know John was starting off with an IPA, but I'm going a little more challenging for my second beer.
I almost opened one of my bottles of What Were We Thinking?
Man!
But I would have to drink the whole damn thing myself. I'm like, I didn't want to do that. So.
No, that would be a little bit of pain tomorrow.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So,
but we do have it on tap at the brewery if you ever come by.
Probably going to be by this weekend. We were actually going to come down. If it didn't rain last Sunday, we were going to be there.
Cool.
So I'm going to be
probably make it down this weekend.
I'll be in Cape May this weekend.
There you go. Why? What's your birthday or something this weekend?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So happy birthday!
So I still may be hungover come Tuesday.
Happy advance birthday!
Happy advance birthday!
And then in 2 weeks from now, Johnny's birthday. So
it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah.
2 weeks from tomorrow. So we've got like all April babies here.
There you go.
That's awesome.
But John's the only Taurus on the show.
This is true. Yeah, you guys are both Aries.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to what made you realize you first wanted to get involved with a brewery?
Probably like most people, homebrew competitions, all that stuff like that. And, myself, Mike and Scott, they would have this thing at High Street Grill, in Mount Holly. Like they would do this homebrew competition and it was kind of fun. And they would do like little events and, but we would do the competition. Scott would win every single time. He just had this thing, like all the porters, like he would have different versions of his porter, and it's like, oh great, he's in it, he wins again. But we were introduced by the owner, John McDevitt. He's like, you guys should talk to each other, and like we would sit there and we like hang out, share beers, and like all home brewers were like, oh, we should open a brewery, we can make beers just as good as the big breweries. We would always have this conversation while we were drinking. Sure. And then you wake up the next day, you forget the conversation, and every time we would go out, we would drink. Same thing. Oh, we should open a brewery. And so finally one day we're like, you know what, let's think about it. Let's actually meet on a Saturday, no beer involved. And that kind of got us started. We wanted to see if it was something we could do. Obviously, anytime you want to borrow money from the bank, you have to prove that you don't need it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we sat down with a bank, and we realized, hey, you know what? We could actually do this. But our main thing, like, and anybody that's opening a brewery, have your meetings, have a set schedule. We would meet every single Saturday. We would go to different houses, but the main thing is do not drink until you're done having your meeting. So, and that's kind of what pushed us through back in 2013, 2014 when we opened. So
now, do you all have roles at the brewery? Obviously, Scott's the brewer, right?
No.
I'm just...
No. Well, we all do. Like we all kind of figured out what we do. Like I'm mostly sales marketing guy. But then like Scott, he does, we all participate when we're canning and all that stuff like that. Mike does all the books. Megan, she's our head brewer. She's been with us for going on 3 years now. So, and she's fantastic. Like you have to have to me, I'm more like every time I would do a recipe, I would adjust it. And when you're a commercial brewery, you can't do that. Right. So where Mike, he's meticulous, he will brew the same thing down to the grain every time. And Megan's got that same mentality. So, and obviously we're always trying new beers and playing around with new styles. You have to be diverse these days. How many breweries now? It's like, hey, this is our new IPA of the week. Yeah. Oh, another can release.
This is our new IPA of the afternoon.
Yeah.
At that point, same base beer over and over again, and basically it's like, oh, we'll just dry hop it differently.
John, you may have been at one of those this past weekend.
I may have been.
Yeah,
I may very well have been. For a brief moment, for a fleeting moment. I won't mention the.
No, we won't mention
the brewery. I'll tell you later.
We'll tell you later.
But yeah, it's just a different. That's not our style. Like we don't. We'll have like new beers on, but it's usually like we put them in a firkin and that's it for like on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to actual commercial releases, it's more something planned out, and we don't have a new hoppy beer every single week.
No.
God bless you.
And
well, good and bad.
Because it impacts sales, because that's what people want. That's what they want to drink.
Right.
But also, actually sticking to your craft and not putting out something that you can turn over in, a matter of weeks, and actually using your brewing vessels for something interesting. Right.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's two schools of thought, right? There's the breweries that put out the different IPAs every week and more than one. And then there's the breweries that put out a bunch of different beer on a regular basis, on a somewhat regular basis, but they brew enough of it so it lasts, and a lot of people can get it, as opposed to just the chosen few that were lucky enough to be available for the release moment. So and both are good business models because they're both working. It just depends on what you want to be, and there's something to be said for both. But I
absolutely. I definitely have a little bit of jealousy at times where it's like, oh my God, there's like 300 people waiting in line outside of brewery XYZ. And I'm like, I wish we had that sometimes, but again, it's just a different model. So
and you take old farts like John and I, who have been in the craft beer world for years, and we're tired. We've tasted how every hop and every hop combination impacts, and so you got your citrus, you got your melon, you got your cat piss, and all this stuff, and it all blends and whatever.
And he means cat piss in the most loving way.
Yeah, in a loving way.
Yeah,
Simcoe,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So with all those, you get tired of that, and you start looking for something different. Right, you want something that eventually you've actually got to think about the beer. Where it's like, okay, so it's another Citra. Okay, that's another Galaxy one. Okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's there's oats in this one. Oh, great. It gets a little tiring after a while. And these beers have their place, obviously. Commercially, they've obviously got their place. But there just comes a time where you're just tired of them. And your palate's like, enough of the bitter.
And it is too. It is too. And the other fact of the matter too is it's also, and I feel this way. We've talked about this before. I feel that it's helping be an introduction into craft for a lot of younger people.
Would you have said that like 20 years ago that IPAs were an introduction into craft?
No, because IPAs weren't. Now
they were not gateways. No.
Well, because IPAs 20 years ago and IPAs today are not the same beer.
That is correct.
IPAs today a ton of them are so much more drinkable than they were 20 years ago.
A quick
easily drinkable. They're all drinkable. Just
a quick aside, I'm at a brewery. I'm just standing there, and there's very, very few people in it. I'm standing there on one side of the bar, the bartender's doing the other, and we're BSing back and forth. And these two 20-somethings, 21, 22-year-old guys walk in. And they walk up. They stand right next to me by the bar. And the one guy obviously had been there, and the other one had not. And the one guy walked out. He said, I'll have such and such beer. Boom, 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 boom. He says, oh, sure. But bartender walked our report. He walks away. And the other guy's standing there, the one that hadn't been there before. And he's looking at all. He had 24 beers on the tap list. And he says, and the bartender's just looking at it. The bartender looks up and says, can I help you narrow it down? And the guy says, well, I like IPAs. He says, well, we have 8 of them up there. He says, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a few little tastes. When you hit something you like, stop me and I'll pour you one, right? So he gives him a tiny little taste of the flagship. Started with the flagship, right? Hands it to him. He takes a sip of it and almost does a spit take. He's like, what's the matter? Don't you like it? He says, I this is disgusting. It's so bitter. Right? He says, I thought you said you liked IPAs. No, he doesn't. He likes orange juice. He doesn't like IPAs. Yeah. So, but you know what? Everybody's palate is different, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. So as soon as he did that, the bartender knew. He says, "I'm not even going to give you a taste of this one." He walked over and he poured him his New England IPA, handed it to him. He says, "Oh, this is good, thanks," and he walked away.
We do have people that will come to the tasting room and they just say, "What's your haziest beer?" Mm-hmm. Like literally, it's like, okay, hazy is a flavor now.
Hazy's a flavor.
Parrot's a flavor. Yeah.
So, but we get that all the time.
I lived in New England.
Sure.
The brewery that was just 4 blocks from me, Smug Brewing, they had 2 of their flagship IPAs. One was an NE IPA. The other was a West Coast, actually. And the NE IPA I always thought was overrated, Driving Miss Hazy. It's a good beer. It's a really good beer. I did enjoy it. But their other one, and they don't brew it all that often because it's got such a low rating because you're in New England. It's not hazy. It's a West Coast style IPA. It doesn't sell, and I think it's the best IPA they make. It's fantastic.
And that's one thing that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say I'm looking forward to that coming back. Like actual bitter IPAs that are clear.
Sure. Yeah, a clear filtered bitter IPA.
This has got a little bit of haze to it, but other than that, this thing is bitter. Well,
that's got
bitter.
You can tell that's got a little bit of haze to it because it's unfiltered. It's not. It doesn't have a haze to it because there's 75 billion pounds of flaked oats in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The guys at Moniker, they started off with this style of IPA. Then they went off, and they're throwing some NE IPAs out there now. But they started off their two first beers, this style of IPA, and a cream ale.
Which is
who does that?
Who does that? Yeah.
So they quickly became one of my favorite breweries in Rhode Island. It's like what was the first one called? I drank it on the show. It was called. I
remember what it was. I don't remember the name of it though.
Something tape, like premiere tape or promo tape or something like that. It was a really, really good cream ale.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is, there's something for everybody, and if it's going to get the younger group of drinkers into it, so be it, because their palates are just going to develop over time. They might not like the bitter beers now, but they will. And, they might not like barley wines. They might not like stouts or whatever. But eventually in time, the more they drink, and they'll taste, they will, because they'll get experimental. And eventually the palates will develop over time. And there you go. That's the way I look at it. So
I'll ask John this question, since we've been expounding quite a bit on this stuff.
Sure.
So with a lot of the younger generation coming in and liking IPAs, I know people who their go-tos and all they drink are the pastry stouts.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
We don't really do pastry stouts. So, we have imperial stouts and all that, but so we've had them before. But to me, like, I can never drink more than like a sample of it, because they're just so sweet and they're so rich.
They're a flight beer. That's what they are.
Yeah, correct. Good call.
What I don't like is I don't like the that mouthfeel.
Yeah, it's
like
with lactose, like so much lactose, and it just, I don't know. It's not my thing. So
yeah, it's like you were licking the erasers in homeroom.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Quite frankly, it is. Yeah. But like I always bring up my one daughter and her boyfriend. They're super into craft beer now, and they're all over the place, and they're hitting more breweries than I do lately. So
that's good parenting there, John. Good parenting,
I tell you. But she's more into the fruited sours. That's her thing, and she'll just gravitate towards them, and that's all. She'll taste other beers. She'll taste other beers, but she'll just gravitate towards them. He started with New England IPAs, but he drinks everything now, and he'll drink. He'll call me up and he'll say, "Hey, I see this one beer, whatever, it's a barrel-aged barley wine," and he's liking the heavy hopped bitter IPAs now too. So it just like I said, it just helped develop his palate. So whatever works, cool. Whatever works.
Yeah. But the one thing that I feel the industry needs to hopefully get past everything being a hazy, overly hops, sweet double IPA. Like, literally, there's so many beers. Like, it used to be a lot more diverse. Like, you don't see, like you were just saying, barley wines. You rarely see that many barley wines anymore, because everybody's making hop. So how many breweries that could make a fantastic barley wine, but they don't even bother with it because they just do another variation of their hoppy whatever it is. So
they need all their tanks for all of their variants of their New Englands, and
yes.
Meanwhile,
they can't take the time to have a barley wine sit in it for so long and then take it out and put it in barrels after that. They need the space. They need the room. So
meanwhile, my cellar, I may have as many barley wines as I have stouts in the cellar right now.
I probably do as well. I probably have a good mix of between barley wines and stouts, and then some others in mine as well. But
it's rare. Like, if you take a look at the when people come to the brewery, like, you literally can almost tell sometimes, like, depending on the age, they're going to gravitate right, like you were saying, right to that hazy double IPA. And then you get, people a little bit more our age, and it's like, oh, barley wines. Oh, let me have I want an English mild.
Right. I would love to go to a brewery and get a good English mild. I really would.
We don't have one, but I'm just saying.
I've had a few.
Yeah. And literally, you can almost read a person like that comes in. It's like, oh, you know what? You're going to get a porter, aren't you? And right to the porter.
Sure enough, right. Yeah.
Now you're not supposed to admit who your favorite child is. John won't do it. I won't do it. But you have it in your head. Do you have a favorite beer that you guys do?
Oh, boy. It changes weekly.
So what is it this week?
This week, I would probably say the Coffee Living the Dream. That's an Imperial Stout. We aged it on Small World coffee beans out of Princeton. But they have this one blend called Crispy Hippie Blend, and it's basically
I've had it. It's good.
Yeah, it's super
I've actually had
low.
it from them. Princeton,
I haven't had that one. We got two up here, and I've never had that one.
Yeah, super low acidity, but really roasty. So it doesn't. It works so well with the beer.
Yeah.
Oh, so it doesn't mess up the pH and
it's
the flavor.
It's absolutely delicious coffee, and that is my favorite, probably my go-to at the brewery right now. And on the complete opposite end, the Enlightened IPA, just because it gives me a little bit of balance. So if I have the two of them, basically I come out to about a 6% beer.
There you go.
What's the ABV on the coffee one?
11.5.
Nice.
And the Enlightened's 3.5. So that's like the new thing now.
3.5.
Low cal. Yep. Enlightened.
Low ABV.
Yep. It's basically 90 calories and 2 grams of carbs. So it's less carbs and calories than a light beer you would buy in the store.
That's lower than my go-to. My go-to is a 4.2.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get you some Enlightened.
We'll have
to enlighten me. Yeah.
You'll have to get enlightened.
Yes.
I will have
you can get enlightened while you're on the boat.
I wish I could lighten up. Yeah. Oh, so you just gave away you just gave away.
Everybody that listens to this show knows what your go-to IPA is.
I was determined I was not going to before
you
the
didn't.
show.
I did. Don't worry about it.
I was determined before the show that I wasn't going to mention a particular brewery. He opens with a soundbite from the owner of the damn brewery that I'm not going to mention. And he just outed my go-to beer from the brewery that I'm not going to mention. You're talking barley wines, and that brewery put out a fantastic barley wine for EBF.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. But
I'm not mentioning them.
No, don't mention. Don't mention.
We'll chat later.
Anyway, but all right, let's get back to Spellbound. You opened in 2014, correct?
2014, correct. October 11th to the public, specifically.
To the public, day before my son's birthday. There you go.
Took about a year for build out and all that fun stuff like that. And we met with like the New Jersey ABC. We met with them early on just to make sure we're doing everything, by the book. And literally at the time, the director there said, "You picked probably the worst state to open a brewery in."
I found out though that almost every state thinks it's the worst state to open a brewery in.
I believe it.
Every state has their crazy ass laws.
Yeah, the laws are. It's just the laws change and from state to state. But
when you guys opened, it was very difficult. It's gotten a little easier.
Yeah.
It's definitely eased over the last. Well, I mean, it was when it was changing. It had changed already a couple of years before they opened, but it has eased up since then too. And with the advent of all the other new breweries, I mean, you were still in the early goings of the revolution in Jersey, if you will.
Yes. The third wave, probably.
Yeah. Second or third wave or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, I consider the first wave all the old schoolers.
Yep.
Dave and Rick and those. Then the second wave being when those two breweries opened a month apart from each other before the law changed.
Which you're not going to mention.
Which I'm not going. I'll mention Kane, but not the other one. You can mention those guys when they opened, and some others followed suit, and then the law changed about a year later, and that's when the doors opened.
That's when the third wave opened.
And then the third wave, and then the fourth wave came up when people started realizing, oh, they did it, and it's not as hard.
Oh, you mean I could just get a storefront, a 4-barrel system, and brew beer, and then sell 90% of it in-house? Sure, I'll open a brewery.
Yeah, because when the third wave came in, it was still, I'll use the word scary, right? It was still, you weren't really certain what you're getting into. You weren't really certain what the rules were, and you had some resources to go to. But now in this state, there's resources from the first, second, and third waves to go to from the tip all the way down to Cape May now.
Sure.
Right, because Cape May was one of those third wave breweries, right?
They were one of the third wave breweries.
Yeah, they were a couple years before we were. So somewhere in that range.
They opened right. Yeah, they opened just right about around when the law changed.
Yep. So they might be second wave-ish. Between. Yeah.
I was going to mention that when you opened in 2014, you had the original people, or the what did you call them? The
Founders.
Thank you.
Yeah,
the Founders Club. Gene Lynch is a member of the Founders
Gene,
Club.
one of our frequent listeners and good friends to the show and us. Gene hadn't commented yet, but he just now put this comment up, so he wanted to say, "Hey, John Companick, cheers."
Hey, Gene.
I came to your first anniversary with Gene, and we had
that was and I really hope we can get back to doing all that. Like this year we lost our no Founders Club, no anniversary. Normally we have a little bit of a shindig going on, and so it just none of that this year. Which, I mean, obviously we really enjoy doing it, but it's also usually a big sales day for us, which we could have really used.
Yeah. So how did it affect you? How has the last year, affected you? Obviously, everybody did switch gears, Canon and doing more product, for
the kegs all sit
that.
empty and become parking lot liners.
Right. Yeah. So, but and everybody did what they had to do and everything else. But how did it affect you? How did Spellbound deal with that?
We literally, obviously last March 13th, not this past one, that day when they basically shut down bars and restaurants. I mean, half of our liquid that goes out the door is kegged.
Sure.
And it went from basically 50-50 mix to 95-5 cans. And and
with
literally
5% being in-house stuff for you.
Yeah, we keg just for us for the most part. And, all our distributors, they really went really lean on the inventory. But even now, I mean, it's a big difference. It's still, I mean, it's not anywhere near 50-50, but it's lightening up a little bit. We're starting to see it picking up a little bit more. But when you take a look at like even things like, I mean, for how long was it, a month or two or whatever? Like we all we did was curbside pickup, and and we opted consciously to not do delivery. Like as much as we wanted to. We just figured, all right, first of all, we're not sure how much demand there will be. And talking to other breweries, there was definitely demand.
Right.
But the other thing is, like, all the local liquor stores, like, we didn't want to, for lack of a better word, we don't want to screw them over because they're supporting our brand. So if we do home delivery, basically we take money out of their pocket, and they're privately owned and all that. So it's like, all right, so we opted to go without the whole home delivery route. So, but curbside pickup, I mean, it's insane how supportive everybody was. Even people that didn't want, like, they didn't even want the beer. They just wanted to help us.
To help you.
So they would buy things. Yeah.
I was doing the same up in Rhode Island. So how long did you get a long line of cars for curbside?
Depending on the release, we had it set up. So you order in advance, and then literally we would sit outside with the cases, like when we would do a beer release, and cars would drive up quick and easy. But the other thing that was really cool was how many, like, we basically, all the tips that we would get, like there's a button for tips on our ordering site, but all that money we would give to all our staff, and literally it was absolutely, like, it was humbling how much money people were actually giving to our servers and tasting room manager Matt and Dana, and it's amazing. So
it was the public did, the craft beer public really did, for the most part, in most instances, did step up and take care of their own, so to speak.
And that is the number one, like, to me, the number one reason that I really think that I like craft beer, besides the flavor of craft beer.
Sure.
It's the people, the community, and everybody wants to share. Yeah. So it's really cool.
And it's not even the customers; it's within the community itself.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the beginning of it, notice, knowing that the industry would take a hit, especially the servers.
Yep.
That altogether that other half put out.
Mm-hmm.
And the success of that beer, and how many breweries decided to brew one, that was really heartwarming to see.
Yeah, that is the beer that got us into doing hazy beers.
Was it?
we avoided hazy beers for the first 5+ years or whatever, but we did the altogether beer, and then we're like, oh wow, hazy beers sell really fast.
Yeah, sell pretty fast.
So you were enlightened.
You were enlightened.
Yes. So, and that's what we changed the recipe for it used to be Major Nelson Pale Ale. Now it's Major Nelson. We use flake oats in it. It's a completely different beer.
That's where I was going to go with this. I was going to ask you. When I poured this is I got a question for you later. Now, this used to be Major Nelson Pale Ale, and it became. Go ahead, continue.
That is correct. We changed the recipe because we also didn't want too much, like it tasted too much like our pale, or it was, a lot of people got them confused. So we're like, all right, we're doing something. We did something completely different. Flaked oats, all that fun stuff, like you said, dry hop to death. And then, but then we also did the 2020, which was our 6th anniversary. So we went to another hazy. And then the South Jersey Double IPA. There you go.
Which might be his second beer.
Well, it is my second beer. I'm just about done with this.
We did a South Jersey Double IPA. We just released that, a couple months ago, but that was
very good too. I had that too. That was very tasty.
It didn't used to be a haze bomb, and now it is. So it's just like, okay, we want to make money.
It's a question for you. Where does the name come from, Spellbound?
Oh, Spellbound. We just, like one of those Saturday sessions, we just kept writing names down that we thought sounded cool. But then we did the research to make sure there wasn't an actual, brewery named all these names. We had like 128 different names.
Wow. That's some serious spitballing going. Yeah.
That's some serious spitballing.
So, but we sent out a spreadsheet to friends and family, and we rank your favorite ones. Then we pared it down. We also had to take a look at, how marketable it was, the name. So we had one was Flat Rabbit Brewing.
I'm picturing Roadkill.
That's interesting.
Ugly Heads was another one.
Ugly Heads.
Yeah.
Says the guy who looks like Jamie Lannister, right?
Actually, even though some of the brewery names that we had are actual breweries in New Jersey now. Like one on the list was Third State Brewing.
Oh,
there you go.
That's a given for Jersey, right?
Yeah. And sorry to the guys over at Third State, but nobody liked the name.
Nobody didn't like the name. There you go.
No, but it's a great name because literally Third State. It's like, but the people on our circuit, they like Spellbound. But in our, we literally pared it down in the top 5 names, and Spellbound came in 4th place. But we just felt like that was the most marketable. It just there's so many things you can do with that name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good song from Triumph too. I don't know if you're
yep, I know it.
Canadian Power Trio fan, but Rush being my number one.
I was going to say
it's
been a while since we brought Rush into the show. Yes.
Well, no, I'm talking about Triumph. It's another.
No, I know, but you got your Rush reference.
I had to get a Rush reference in there. Yes. Which Brian Paul wants to say that he loves Spellbound. So I don't know whether he loves the name or he loves the brewery or both or everything. So there you go.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you.
but he's a Giants fan, so
he's a Giants fan, so that works too. So are you an Eagles fan?
No,
I'm
a Colts fan.
You're a Colts fan.
I
do remember seeing that on your Facebook. You're
interesting because from when they were in Baltimore's, I assume.
No. Lived in Indianapolis with my old day job before I retired from it. But I lived for 14 months in Indianapolis. So, but a friend of mine, Don Coleman, we used to have an ongoing bet. I used to be a Raiders fan, and I just got sick of them. We would have a $20 bet every time they played, and I got sick of losing every time to Peyton Manning. And since I was in Indianapolis, RCA Dome was an amazing stadium.
Sure.
And just you couldn't help not liking the team, the players. And that's
it's a beautiful stadium. It really is.
Yeah. So,
Brian Paul said both, by the way. He answered the question as well. But Dave and I just had this conversation before. We're like, in the 70s, your fans, if you don't have a family team that you're rooting for and you didn't get brought up in a particular sport with a particular team, football-wise anyway, you definitely became either a Steelers fan, a Raiders fan, or a Cowboys fan.
Steelers. I was a Steelers fan.
You were a Steelers fan. You were a Raiders fan. So, I got brought up loving the Giants. So.
I became a Giants fan because the Steelers pretty much retired,
disbanded
almost as a team.
I will say though, one of the most traumatic games I've ever been to, because as a Colts fan, I would go to see when they were in town, but went to see them play the Eagles. And one of the worst experiences of my entire life.
We can imagine.
The Eagle fans, they are jerks.
We've got other names that we've heard.
Yeah, I do have to say, I went to the first time I went to a Giants Eagles game in Philly, and it was at the Vet, and it was. I had on, all I wore, Giants wise, was a blue T-shirt underneath 3 other shirts, or another shirt and a jacket or a sweat, whatever. But and then it was like, and I just sat there and I didn't cheer. Whenever the Giants did something good, I went, and that was it. Nothing, silent. That's what you had to do, and it has gotten a little bit better. I've been to a game at the Link, but whatchamacallit, talking to a few people, it has gotten better. Years ago, though, it was horrible. If you were a Giants fan and you cheered for the Giants at a Giants-Eagles game in Philly, you got your ass handed to you.
Not only do they have a lockup down in the stadium, they actually have a judge so they can prosecute you while the game's going on. Only stadium, I think, that has a judge sit through the game. And the judge, is probably an Eagles fan, so he's already probably pissed off he's missing the game.
All right. Well, I'm sure he had TV. I'm sure he had at least that. So
yeah, but, get some revenue out of it. Exactly. Yeah, we went to a Colts game. This was years ago. I mean, not that many years ago, and literally all four of us were wearing Colts jerseys. And literally the second we pulled in the lot, the guy taking our money to, whatever it was, $20 or whatever, he's like, "Are you sure you want to wear those shirts?" And literally, as soon as we left that booth, people were all chanting, like they were pointing at us, and I'm like, "Holy cow! What the heck? It's only a team. It's a shirt, dude."
It's crazy, yeah.
But yeah,
and it's crazy too. And what's funny though? It's just it's more football than anything else because. Like, not now because the Phillies are a better team now, but years ago when the Phillies were just like, the bottom of the NL East all the time, Citizens Bank Park was when the Mets were playing the Phillies, was a Mets home game. It quite literally was. There were more Mets fans at that game than there were Phillies fans. Yeah,
but when I was go ahead.
I was just going to say the gentleman we had on the show last week was Mr. Scott Wells from Bolero Snort. And I remember a story he told. And I could be paraphrasing because the story he told was told to me pretty much right, not too long after it happened. But he, was that he went, he's a big Yankees fan, staunch Yankees fan. And he went to one of the World Series games, Yankees versus the Phillies, in Philly. And the Yankees won that game. And he was decked out in nothing but Yankees gear, right? So he's walking back across all the parking lots, and he's going back over to the SEPTA to take the subway back up to Center City. And a cop stopped him before he got on and said, "You're not going in here." And he says, "Well, no, I need to take the subway back to Center." He says, "No, you call a cab. I'm not letting you in here. You will not make it out of this subway."
Wow.
Yeah, stopped him. He had to take the cab back to Center City.
I'm sorry. The fans were bad when I was in high school so many years and years ago. We were I was in the marching band for Jackson Memorial High School, not all that far from Mount Holly. And we went to play and do we did the Star Spangled Banner. Then we're up in the stands, and the band, we're primarily Mets fans, so the audience didn't take too kindly to us rooting for the Mets because the Mets were playing. Sure. And as we were leaving and going down one of the spirals, because this was Veterans Stadium, because it's that long ago, we got pelted with Philadelphia pretzels.
Grab a couple of them and eat them. I mean, you got to make,
No.
Philadelphia gives you lemons.
Philadelphia Stadium and Street pretzels are the worst damn pretzels on the planet because these things are hard as goddamn rocks. Right? And so they destroyed Gary DiMarzo I still remember this kid's name. Gary DiMarzo had his French horn destroyed by a pretzel.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's a hard pretzel.
That's a hard pretzel. And it's, it's a good thing that Brian's not listening and working because he'd cry because he was a French horn player.
True.
But enough about sports.
Enough about sports, though. Yeah. I digress.
That's John's other show, and he just referenced Tom.
Show. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, one more thing. Mm-hmm. We went to see the Jets Colts game. Mm-hmm. Fans couldn't be any better. Literally, we're sitting in the bar before the game. They saw the uniforms, like, "Oh, we hope you have a good game." They bought us a beer. I'm like, "What the heck? What a contrast!"
Yeah,
I was worried. I'm like, Jets fans. Oh, New York, they're going to be bad. They were great, amazing.
There years ago, like back in the '80s, there were some rowdy Jets fans, and I will tell this story really quick. They back in the '80s in old Giant Stadium, you used to be able to get beer, like when it was just Giants games. You used to be able to get beer up until through the end of the game. 5 minutes left in the game, you go get a beer if you wanted to, right? They eventually, after the Jets came in the later '80s, you couldn't. They stopped selling beer after the third quarter, and eventually in the early '90s, they stopped selling beer after halftime. So once halftime ended and the third quarter started, that was it. You couldn't get a beer anymore. You can get other stuff, obviously, but you couldn't get a beer anymore.
And there was a good reason for that.
And the reason for that was some of the rowdy Jets fans. But it wasn't all of them. It was just certain ones, and it was just certain factions back then, too. Jets fans are pretty much, Jets fans get a bad rap because there were a few back in the day that were bad. We're a little on the too rowdy side, but for the most part, you're absolutely right.
The Giants fans could be like that too.
Some Giants fans can be like that too, but
I remember being at a Giants Cowboys game, and there was two Cowboys fans sitting in front of me, two Giants fans in front of them, and they're kind of needling each other. The Giants start destroying the Cowboys fans. It was kind of fair. There's an older guy off to the corner, and he's really getting into him, but they're ignoring him. And the Giants are now destroying the Cowboys, and now the two Giants fans, because they've had a few beers in them, they've turned into they're starting to be awful. Right. So I tapped the two Giants fans on the shoulder, said, "Give me a sec," and they're startled now because they think everyone's against them. I said, "No, I just need to talk to those two." And I said, "Listen, this isn't Philadelphia. Knock it off."
Right.
And they looked at me and they went, "Oh crap, he's right." And I looked at the old guy and I just went,
"Well, I could tell you this right now. That didn't stem from being rowdy or being a nasty fan. That stemmed from finally
alcohol.
The Giants. Well, not even alcohol. It stemmed from alcohol, obviously, but it stemmed from the Giants, them there that day, and the Giants were beating the nemesis Cowboys that were America's team, and so they finally felt a little above their, and whatever. So
yeah, they went too far. But
and Gene Lynch just commented, "John F. is showing his age about buying beer at Giant Stadium." LOL. Okay, thanks. Yeah,
Gene's the baby of our group.
Gene's the baby of the group. Yeah. And Brian Pohl laughed. There you go. So, but in any event, all right. Back to beer. What's your you gonna open your second beer there, Samurai?
Well, if we're going to open second beers, then we have to get on to our top threes because both of our second beers lend themselves to the top three.
This is true. We can.
So we're going to pour the beers first or introduce the threes?
Why don't we pour the beers first and then we'll introduce the threes? Go ahead.
I was going to go the other way, but we'll go with yours.
We can do it your way. That's fine with me.
We'll do you.
All right,
so I'm actually going to. I'm going with. So Rushing Duck. No, you got to do the threes first because the story behind this beer
all right,
ties into it.
We'll start the threes first, and then we'll go into that. Okay. So, all right, folks, our top three list.
We've been referencing this top three throughout the whole damn show. We've mentioned anniversaries, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, absolutely. Our top three list this week is, and I'll throw this up. Our top three list, craft beer top threes. Our top three list this week is top 3 favorite anniversary beers.
There's a caveat.
The reason we picked this, well, there's a caveat, but the reason we picked this topic is because John's birthday was yesterday. Dave's birthday is this Saturday. My birthday is 2 weeks from tomorrow. Birthdays are anniversaries, so anniversary beers.
Womb emancipation anniversaries.
Exactly. Right. So there you go. So it's top 3 anniversary beers. The caveat is non-New Jersey. So we're not going to mention any New Jersey. There are plenty of favorite New Jersey anniversary beers, and I'll be drinking one of them. But
it's not. It can't be on his list.
But it's not on the list because non-New Jersey. We don't do anything that's in state. We always keep it, out, so forth and so on.
So
we're doing a specific in-state thing.
We should have had you open your beer first, since mine is on my list.
Right. So I'll open my beer first, and I'll say that I'll get it over with, and there you go. My beer, I'll be opening a 2020. John, you can actually talk about this beer while I open it. So there you go.
That was our foray really into doing a haze bomb for or hoppy hazy for anniversary. Other than that, we would just generally go with something that just big beer, barley wines, imperial stouts, and all that. And they're like, you know what? But we decided we're like, all right, we kind of like the all together beer and that whole haze train thing. See, there you go.
Nice and pretty. Look at that.
And we just absolutely love that beer. So we're going to name it, obviously, something different when we do it this year. I don't think 2020 really sells very well.
Doesn't lend to a good connotation. So yeah.
No. So yeah, and we're not going to do 2021. We'll have to come up with something now. So if anybody has any good ideas for a beer name, because there's none left. Let us know.
Yeah, really. I got a couple in the hopper. I'll talk to you.
Yeah. Oh, in the hopper. Get it.
You like it? Yeah. John and I did conjecture on where you guys came up with the name for What Were We Thinking, which was one of your anniversary beers, was it not?
Yes, it was. We
have a barley wine. One of your barley wines.
We have it on tap right now. We actually we were trying to come up with a name, and we were sitting at the canning line for too many hours, and we just said, what the heck are we thinking? And then literally it kind of evolved from that. So I'm pretty sure Scott came up with that one. But basically, if you notice, a lot of our previous anniversaries, we have punctuation in it. So it was, what were we thinking, with 3 question marks on it. But then you get like to the other one, like one of the things most people say, they're like, oh, you must be living the dream. We kept hearing living the dream. So that's what we named second anniversary, I believe, was living the dream. But there's a question mark and an exclamation point.
Exclamation point, yeah.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Changes the meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So literally,
living the dream.
Yeah. But since we've also been talking barley wine, so my second beer actually is a barley wine.
Well, it's a blend, right?
It's part barley wine, part imperial stout. It is a cuvee. We like using the word cuvee.
I forgot. Here's mine. I forgot. There you go.
Oh yeah, go with your 3.
Here's mine. No.
Your crawl.
My crawl. Yeah, and I'll give yours now. There
we go. And it's exactly the way I wrote it. So Rushing Duck. So I'll just jump into my 3s then. Sure, well, do you want to do your 3s first? Because one of ours is actually matches.
Pour your beers. Okay, you pour the beer. I have it.
Look what I'm pouring this into.
Oh, well played.
This to me is one of the prettiest can glass arts that I've ever seen, because it's a full wrap.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
It's a beautiful glass. It's one of my favorites. I'm not a big fan of can glasses because I was installed with a dribble lip. They don't work too well with me. I usually end up wearing a lot of my beer. I can't drink from mason jars either too well. For the same reason. Anything that's got a lip like that, I have issues with. But
anything that's got a lip like yours, that's why you can't drink.
Yes, that's the dribble lip. So Rushing Duck, their anniversary parties, man, their 5th anniversary party was a blast and a half. They had this band that was kind of like a goth death metal dance band. If that makes any sense. And almost all of the anniversaries of theirs I've been to. I've been with Gene.
Death metal dance band.
That sounds like a random word generator.
Yeah, right. But if Gene is listening, Gene can probably confer and validate what I am saying here. They came on and they've got like I can't remember if there was masks or face paints that they were wearing.
Nice.
And we're like, oh, what the hell are we getting into? And they start playing, and you've got there is some metal to it, but you got kids and old ladies getting up and dancing to them.
Interesting.
But they kind of had a goth feel to it. So that was a hell of a party. But this did not come from that party. This came from the last one of their anniversaries I was at, which was 2019, because obviously they didn't throw a party in 2020 in that barn. And again, with Gene and Brian, we had a really good time there and came away with this. They did 2 versions of this. They aged one in maple bourbon barrels, and they aged another one in honey bourbon barrels. These were the barrels they got from Orange County Distilling. So I don't know if that counts as a collab or not. So I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
But they're on the label, so they listed them like they're a collab, but they just kind of use their barrels. So we're going with not feeling well. I'm going to drink an 11% beer, and hopefully the alcohol.
You go.
Yeah.
So while you do that, obviously we're going to reference that in your top 3s. Why don't we let John go first?
Yes.
So he was the birthday boy yesterday, most recent birthday boy. So.
That is so good.
So top 3, should I go from 3 to 1?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? But I don't know if it is considered an actual anniversary beer, but it does come out every year.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't mention before we start. We didn't mention the caveat, John.
Oh,
yeah, I did.
Did you?
Not New Jersey.
What's the caveat?
Okay, I missed it.
Not New Jersey. No,
I was too busy admiring my beer.
Not New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, not Jersey. I promise. But Bourbon County Stout.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
It is an anniversary of sorts, and they actually do release an actual anniversary variant as well.
Yes.
So yeah.
And that's generally a blend. But that to me, every year it's a bit, it's a massive beer, but and every time I have it, I'm still surprised at how good it is. I'm like, oh, why do I not drink this more often? But yeah, and remember when you couldn't find it on a shelf anywhere?
Remember that? Yeah, remember
find it everywhere.
Remember when it was like, oh crap, if you weren't like first in line when they got their one case, the store that you go to got their one case in, you weren't getting any.
Or if you didn't know their beer guy.
Yeah.
Between that and the KBS, but I just think it edges out KBS a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that would be my third.
That would be your number 3
favorite.
Gotcha. And you can keep going. We'll do your 3 in a row.
Yeah. The other one is my God, I can't think of the name. It's the yearly from Anchor, the Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, that to me, that's another one. Like every year it changes slightly.
Yep.
But that's one beer that I could definitely drink all day. And I mean, one of my favorite beers for many years. But every year I usually like buy a 6-pack. I'll have a couple of it and then I'll save it. And then at some point, maybe I'll try them all side by side. But that beer holds up so well. I don't know what it is, but you can have a 20-year-old bottle of that and it tastes almost as bright as the day you bought it. But
in 2013, we had a bottle share around Christmas, and somebody that was doing just that saved from 96 on. We had an 18-year bottle share from 96 through. Well, we had other bottle shares, but we had an 18-year vertical from 96 through 13. And I got to be honest with you, of all 18, 1998 was the best. In 2013, a 15-year-old beer was the best one of them.
I do this. I do the same thing you do, John. I've got 2014 through 2019. No, I think I go back further than that. I've got 7 years.
7, gotcha.
So I think I'm from 2012 to 2019.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And your number one?
And your number one. What's your number one?
Well, number one was unfortunately a beer that was only done once. It was it's a double IPA made by Avery 11. That beer was so distinct. It had the perfect hop profile. Everything about it, I liked it. And unfortunately, obviously, they didn't do it again. But I feel like it's slightly similar to Maharaja, maybe a slight tweak. But
if I recall it, I'm pretty sure I remember having Avery 11. But I do remember thinking it was very close to Maharaja. Yeah.
If it's close to Maharaja, Maharaja is one of those IPAs I referred to as palate destroyers.
Yes.
You drink a Maharaja. If you've got a Maharaja and you've got a bunch of other beers to drink, you drink it last because you're not tasting a damn thing after drinking Maharaja.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. That was back before it became all hazies. Like literally, it was like that. Avery 11, I don't even know how many years they're around now. They're 25 plus years old, I think.
Somewhere in there, yeah. They're up there. They're up there.
So,
that's back when the danker, the more resin, everything. The
resin.
Everything was that just outdo each other. That was just a destroyer. Yeah.
And the resin's what destroyed you, right?
Resin destroyed you. Yeah, the resin destroyed you. Yeah. All right, you want to go or you want me to go, Dave?
Well, it depends. Since we're sharing one,
your call.
Well, I've already poured, so I've already talked about my third.
Go ahead, go for it. Number 3, revisit number 3.
Number 3 is Rushing Ducks, Farms, Friends, and Felines, but it's more than that. Anything that Rushing Duck does for their anniversaries, because they like to do these cuvées. They like to take their barley wines. They like to do what one of John's favorites are. And so I'll let you speak to it when it gets there. But they like to take some of their biggest beers that they've brewed, blend them, and put them out as anniversary ales. I remember the first anniversary that I went to, they had a flight and they were just referred to as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Sure.
But every one of them was just humongous and brutal. And if you finished that flight, you were done for the day. How often do you finish a flight of 5 beers and you can't drink anything else because you can't stand up? Yeah. These things were massive beers and just absolutely wonderful. So the last one I went to, like I said, Farms, Friends, and Felines. There's 2 versions of it, the maple, the honey. I'm saving the honey to share with somebody, but the maple bourbon, I mean, this is so good. It's so good. So it's got almost 2 years on it because their anniversary is in August. Their anniversary is right around my mother's birthday. So I always remember when their anniversary is coming.
There you go.
So hopefully
I will be right back. I just want to get some water. absolutely parched, and I'm not having beer, so I'll be right back.
Go for
dehydrated.
Go for it.
So while he does that, I'll move on to my second.
Uh-huh.
So my second, and we'll have to mention it to John because it's not that far from him.
Okay.
And it's the one that we share.
Right.
And that would be Weyerbacher. Weyerbacher, what I loved about Weyerbacher is the series. All of their beers they started off as Roman numerals.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually to the Arabic numerals now,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. No, it's just the numbers, yeah.
And
or Arabic numerals, as you said.
Yes. And they changed the style every year.
Yeah.
You know, they one year they had a Rauch beer. You know,
Sure.
one year they did do a barley wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the brewery that does Blithering Idiot, you know, then do a barley wine for their anniversary and make it better than Blithering Idiot. That's a tall order.
That's a tall order.
But they managed it.
Sure.
You know,
Sure, absolutely.
It's just a phenomenal series. Every single beer in that series, with maybe exception of one, I absolutely just loved.
Yeah.
So that would be my phone. I'll have to answer that later. I'm not sure. We'll call that
the Halloween theme.
That is the theme to The Exorcist.
Oh, that's right. That's The Exorcist. Yeah.
And I remember one time I would visit my brother in Boston all the time, and on Newbury Street there's this place called Gargoyles and Grotesques.
Gargoyles and Grotesques. Yep.
And if you remember it was all religious iconography and gargoyles. The lighting was low. Their hours were from when the sun came up to when the sun set. Right, because there was no lighting in the place. There were leaves on the floor and all that, and because of all the religious iconography in there, everyone would walk through and just with hushed tones.
Right.
And my phone went off with that ringtone.
That's great.
And this dude looked at me and went, "Dude, really?" He goes, "I have to leave now." But anyway, so John, what you missed, you have to take him off mute.
No, he has to take him off mute.
He's got to take him off. So. Oh, okay. What you missed, my second choice was Weyerbacher's anniversary series.
Oh, that's great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, right. They changed the style every single time. So many great things.
And what's your number one?
My number one, and maybe it's because it's 4 blocks away from me. When I lived in Rhode Island, maybe it's because I had both their anniversary beers. They've not hit their third yet because I think their anniversary is October, November in that area. And it's Smug Brewing. They're in Pawtucket. Mm-hmm. The first beer that they did, and I wrote down notes but I remember it now. It was a blend. It was a collaboration with PV Donuts. And they did toasted coconut, chocolate cookie, and purple yam.
Jeez.
This thing...
Toasted coconut, chocolate
cookies,
and purple yam.
Purple yam. And the yam threw this amazing umami into the beer.
All right.
And everything else. It was this beer was so... Like we said earlier, John and I have been in this long enough that we start looking for those interesting beers, those beers that'll challenge, but they still have to be good, right?
Yeah, something that you haven't had before, or something that you haven't had in a while that'll evoke that memory of that good thing you had back then.
Right, or something completely different, and this was completely different, and it was phenomenal. It was the first growler I bought from them. So for their second anniversary, and I was up there for that release, they decided to do an Imperial Stout. I had not seen an Imperial Stout from them yet. Right. It was just called Smug 2. Just a clean classic bottle with 2 Tekus. You can buy it with the 2 Tekus if you wanted, or just an individual bottle. So I bought the gift set and the individual bottle.
Shocked.
And I still have the one left. Got those beers. So and I was really surprised at how I shouldn't have been. But the fact they hadn't done an Imperial Stout yet, I was quite curious to let's see what this is like. And that beer is absolutely fantastic. That was my number one anniversary beer. Either one of them. Either one of those from Smug. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, my top 3. I'll start with my number 3. My number 3 is going to be a series of IPAs. Burlington Beer Company up in Vermont does an IPA every year for their anniversary. They've done for the second anniversary they did a double IPA. They changed it up a little bit. The third one was a triple IPA. Fourth one they did a quadruple IPA.
Okay.
Wow.
Then
Quad,
the fifth year, they went back to a triple, but they changed it to a New England. So it was a triple New England. Then they went back to a triple, just a regular triple. So anyway, and the IPAs are fantastic. And I mean, any IPAs from Burlington are delicious anyway. But that series, that anniversary series for them is pretty damn good. My number 2 is shared with Mr. Samurai there.
My number 2,
Weyerbacher. Yeah, their anniversary series is phenomenal. As Dave said, they change it up every year. It's not the same. It's not the same beer. They've done barley wines. They've done the Rausch beers. They've done stouts. They've done Scotch ales. They've done Belgian strongs. And every beer they change, every year they change the beer, and it's just really good. It's one of the better beers that they put out every year. And as Dave said, for the brewery that does Blithering Idiot to do a barley wine for their anniversary and make it better than Blithering Idiot, it's it's crazy. So
just interrupt you here. I'm just going through.
Sure, interrupt me. Why not?
I'm going to interrupt you because I'm just going through some of the styles. 12 was a barley wine.
Sure.
14 was a wheat beer. They're listing it as a wheat beer, if I remember correctly, it was a wheat wine.
Wheat wine. It was a wheat wine.
It was a wheat wine.
15 a wheat beer with a wheat wine. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wheat. Oh no, they do list it as a wheat wine. It's just I don't have my cheaters on because I'm old. 15 was a smoke beer. 16 was the Braggot.
They did a Braggot. Yep.
Yep. Right. 17 was a Saison. 18 was a Weizenbach. Mm-hmm. They did a sour for their 19th.
Yeah, the sour for the 19th was actually pretty good. All of these were delicious. All of these were.
Belgian Strong for the 21st, a stout, Imperial Stout for the 21st, a Scotch Ale Wee Heavy for the 22nd.
Scotch Ale was the 22nd. That was one of my it was one of my favorites from that series. They're all delicious.
A double white stout for their 23rd.
I don't remember that.
And then for their 24th, after all that, they did a lager.
They did a lager for the 25th. Yeah.
American lager.
And that was 2 years ago. They didn't release one last year for the 25th.
No, right?
They didn't. No. So, but in any event, the Weyerbacher anniversary series is just good. It's just insane.
And your number 1?
And that's my number 2. All right.
Yeah. What's your
number 1? My number 1 is a brewery from California. You know them as Firestone Walker. They release an anniversary beer every year, and what they do is they take all of they barrel age. What would you say? Maybe about 400,000 or 500,000 beers a year they barrel age. You know,
you might have overstated by about 100,000. Yeah,
maybe about So no, but they barrel age so many different beers, and every year it's a different blend of a bunch of different beers of those barrel age series.
My fun pastime with their anniversary beer is looking at the box because they box the thing.
Sure.
Yep.
And reading the side of it to read all of the beers they use to blend it.
Mm-hmm. They give you the scroll and everything else that goes in there, and that's a fantastic beer. I had one on Friday.
Matt said, "Did you?"
Nice.
Matt Pedensky just said Firestone Walker Anniversary Cuvée beers are pretty tasty. Yes, they are.
Pretty tasty. That might be an understatement.
Yeah. I remember they're up to 24, 25, 23, 24, 25, somewhere in there now. The first one that I had that just blew me away was probably 12. And
really?
Yeah, it was just amazing. And then it just got progressively better from there. And I think I was able to score like a 10 like a couple of years later. As somebody had, I was at I did. I was at our favorite bar, Dave, our favorite watering hole.
Which one of our favorite watering holes?
In our favorite watering hole in Brooklyn.
The SD.
The SD, yeah, Spite and Dival. They actually had it was like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. Like when they came out with 13, they had a 12, and they had a 10, and they had an 8 too.
But that goes back to something John said earlier. He was talking about the Anchor Merry Christmas and Happy New Year beer, right? Where they age so damn well.
Sure.
The Firestone Walker anniversary beers,
right?
But those things.
What I do
every
year, I buy 2 every year. And
it never shares with me.
And I buy 2 every year. I don't have them. I don't even drink them. I buy 2 every year, and every 5 years I do a 5-year vertical.
And the bottles are getting smaller every year, I feel.
Yeah,
they're 12-ounce bottles now. They used to be 20. They used to be 750s. They used to be 750s. Now they're 12-ounce bottles.
I picked up a succuba and went, "Who the hell shrank succuba?"
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember when they called it abacus and then just reversed the order of the letters.
He's reversed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't call it abacus anymore.
Yeah, abacus spelled backwards is succuba.
Yeah.
And being a mythology nerd, I know exactly what a succuba is.
Good choice.
So there you go. So Firestone anniversary. So my 3 Burlington anniversary IPAs, Weyerbacher anniversary series, and Firestone Walker anniversary. So here's my 3. So there you go.
And we didn't sneak in any honorable mentions this time, did we?
We did not sneak in any honorable mentions.
We have a tendency of bringing our top 3s to like 4 and 5 and 6 by saying, I would have gone with this, but I decided to go with this.
I would have gone with this one for number 3, but I went with this one. And I would have gone with this one for number 2, but I went with, so all of a sudden the top 3 becomes the top 5. So, but anyway, so.
I would have gone with Weyerbacher, but I didn't think about that. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah,
so we've got a 3-way agreement on Weyerbacher's anniversary beers.
I'll throw this out there too. Of late, Heavy Seas actually puts out anniversary beers, and they're pretty tasty.
Are they?
Yeah. They're not. I mean, I'm not gonna. They wouldn't make my top 3s, and that's not by any means putting them down. Look what they're going up against, But yeah, they're decent. And they change it up every year too. It's kind of like a Weyerbacher thing. They'll just make a different beer and release it as their anniversary.
Well, I told John before the show I would have gone Rhode Island again and gone with Long Live, except Long Live releases like 8 different beers for one anniversary.
One anniversary, yeah, they'll do like their 4th anniversary last year. They did 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. I think I drank a 4.8 on the show. On
the show, and I think I had 3 or 4 of the 4th anniversary beers. So I don't know if we can count that. It's like just take every release that you release close to your anniversary and call it an anniversary.
Call it an anniversary, yeah, exactly. So
we disqualified them.
Gene Lynch wanted to let John know he just remembered he still has some cans of Spellbound 2020 Hazy IPA anniversary, and it's drinking very well, John.
Gene, I'll stop by tomorrow to pick up a couple.
There you go. Well,
thanks,
if you don't go to Cape May and you meet us down by John this weekend, you can have some down there.
No, as you know, the Cape May weekend is planned by somebody else.
I know.
Carrie has planned the whole weekend at my request, and I want to see what she comes up with. We've got about 8 breweries planned. Some on the way down, some while we're down there, and some on the way back up.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed your birthday weekend, your birthday trip.
The Brooklyn
4 years ago, yes, for your 50th.
Yeah, and Carrie was on that one as well. My God, that was
fun.
It wound up at Spite and Dival.
We did wind up at Spite and Dival,
and then you bastards went to Augerswell without us.
Well, because you had to catch a train, so you weren't able to get there. So.
And we
offered to drive you back to Penn Station, but nope, you had to catch a train then.
We didn't have a big enough trap.
Well, Spite and Dival, such a great spot. I mean, God, I remember going there and spending so much money on sours and stuff like that. It's the list that was like the place.
Spite and Dival's mentioned at least 3 times on this show so far.
At least, if not more.
Because
there's another one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was the third. There was at least 3, but we had we did have top craft beer bars in New York City,
right? So that was one of them.
So a lot of times when we have these top this place that place, we kind of eliminate New York City because Spite and Dival wins pretty much everything.
Yeah. And Augerswell's up there too. I don't know if you've been to Augerswell. It's on St. Mark's, about maybe 3 doors down from
it's
MMA in Thompson Square Park.
A little further. I think it's 4 doors down.
4 doors down. Okay.
3 doors down was a band.
It was a band. Yeah.
It was a soft grunge band. Yeah.
Well, if you know St. Mark's, you know where Criff Dogs is on St. Mark's, and the
Speakeasy.
Speakeasy. Thank you. PDT. Please don't tell. It's right next door to that. So,
and you keep telling about this.
Yeah, like nobody knows where PDT is. But in any event,
there are no speakeasies that aren't secret, and everybody knows about it anyway.
Of course, exactly.
Yeah,
Jersey has a few.
Yeah, no, there is a couple in Jersey. There's the ones in New York, though. There's a couple.
Those are special.
They're special, though. So, but in any event, Spite and Dival is just an amazing bar.
Have you been to the laundromat in Morristown? That one's great because you go into it and it just looks like a room with a bunch of washers and dryers. You go to the back of it and you grab the handle for one of the washers, one of the dryers, if you're going to open the dryer, and the whole wall opens up. And it's a stairwell that's lit by torches. They're electric torches, mind you.
Right.
There are codes, and John being a fireman will attest to this. And you walk down, and when you realize that you've walked down and it spirals down, the place is actually under the street. They've got a couple of stages. They've got 3 bars. The seating is really eclectic. You can sit on the couch, a high top, a low top, a bench. There's so many different places to sit in that place. I'm surprised they don't have bean bags.
I was going to say beanbag chairs,
be awesome.
Rocking horses.
But that's only one of 2 speakeasies in Morristown. The other one is in one of the fanciest restaurants in all of Morristown, the Jockey Hollow.
Jockey Hollow, yeah.
And Friday nights or Saturday nights, you go in, and they can usually tell that you're not dressed for the restaurant, and you didn't valet. Right. And you walk up to the host and said, "I'm looking for the beer garden," and they will direct you down to the. You go down a service hall. You go through these doors, service doors. Make a left. You go down these stairs. You go through a service hall, through another set of doors. They've got a German beer garden under there.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, in Morristown, yeah. And John, if you've never been, I got to take you.
I haven't been to Jockey. I mean, I know about it, but I haven't been yet. So.
Oh yeah, you've got to go. They've got a really good beer list. Some great German beers. I mean, they don't rival Asbury Park Fest Hall, but
right, which is 5 minutes from me. But
or Zeppelin Beer Hall in Jersey City, which is
10 minutes from you.
Which 10 minutes from me.
Right. But and Matt just wants to mention his favorite Brooklyn beer bar. So
and that was on my list, was it not?
Tourist, of course. Yes, of course.
A horse is a horse. No.
A tourist is, yeah. So anyway, all right. So anything new on the coming up for Spellbound? Anything new beers? New what you got on the horizon?
Funny you should ask.
Funny I should ask.
May is going to be a big month for us. Like we really thought last year was going to be. We were introducing a lot of new beers and all that stuff. And then obviously 2020 happened. The pandemic happened. But this year, starting in May, they should be on shelves. But we have 15-pack of the Enlightened. So we're doing larger format. So 15 packs of that. And we're going to do our first mix pack, 15-pack.
Oh, wow.
So basically our 4 core beers in there, the IPA, the Pale Ale, the Porter, and the Cherry Belgian Triple, which are available year round. So in basically both of those, we're going to do year round. Everybody, again, going to this low-cal drinking things that they think are better for them. Right. We're going to push on the Enlightened, but we also have, like, our Peach IPA is one of our most popular seasonals every year.
Yeah.
We changed the recipe. It's now Hazy Peach.
Is it?
Hazy Peach IPA, yes.
Hazy Peach.
So,
now your porter is a Palo Santo, isn't it?
We have 2.
The regular porter,
and then the Porter Asian Palo Santo.
That one.
Palo Santo would. Yeah, it's one of my go-tos as well. I have a lot of go-tos apparently.
It's one of mine too. My original thought was if it didn't rain this past Sunday, damn it, I was going to be down there and I was going to pick up some Palo Santo. And I was going to pick up a bottle of Living the Dream, and that's what I was going to be drinking tonight. I was going to be drinking I was going to be drinking either the Major Nelson or the 2020. I was going to be drinking the Palo Santo, and then I probably would have opened the Living the Dream, had a little on the show, and then finished it with Jess downstairs for dinner afterwards. So.
Yeah, no, I need to get down there. I've not been at the brewery, I think, since the first anniversary.
Oh wow, that long.
Wow.
That long. Yeah, I need to get back down there.
I haven't been there in at least probably a month.
Yeah, but my issue was, I think what scared me away is you had these round tables and these really long flight paddles. So if you didn't put it in the center of the table, you lost a couple of glasses off the side.
Well, we can always make more.
Absolutely.
So, no, that was no. I've been. I think there 3 times, but I don't think I've been since the first anniversary.
You're overdue.
Yeah, I'm overdue. Maybe I'll.
We have 20 beers on tap now.
Yeah,
Oof.
20, and on weekends it's usually 21 to 23 beers because we do the Firkin.
The Firkin, and you did the Enlightened with Blueberry last weekend. I did see that was a Saturday.
Enlightened with Blueberry.
It was Blackberry.
Blackberry.
Oh, Blackberry.
Okay. Blackberry.
Yeah.
So need to get there. Need to get in and say hi to Vince.
Yeah, come by. He comes by the brewery. We go to his spot a bunch of times. But yeah, that's the beauty of Mount Holly. Everybody kind of knows everybody, and we just hang out.
Yeah, go to Vincent's place. Go across the street and get a pizza with the smallest pepperonis I've ever seen in my life.
Smallest pepperonis?
Seriously, they're like about this big round.
It's the thin ones.
Probably just
cut
get
them up
and cut them up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Still a tasty pizza.
Yeah.
And look
for South Jersey.
Right, for South Jersey.
Hey, now.
But hey,
we're all pizza snobs up here.
It's all good. It's all good. Like we mentioned before, we talk about and you're talking about the Eagles and the Phillies and everything else, and you're from Jersey, right? And I'll talk to some people from North Jersey, and they'll be like, why is that guy a Phillies fan? He's from New Jersey. I'm like, well, it's state right split. North is New York, South is Philly.
Right.
So
now I grew up in Central Jersey, but now I'm in North Jersey, so I'm in the Taylor Ham district.
There you go.
You guys are down in the Pork Roll district.
The Pork Roll, yeah. And I grew up in the Taylor Ham district, and now
Taylor Ham is a brand. Pork Roll is a thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
Taylor Pork Roll.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you. I've told Dave this before. I'll say this to you too. I'll say this. I grew up. Not only did I grow up in the Taylor Ham area of New Jersey, obviously, but I also grew up in the cold cut industry, if you will. My father owned Thuman's Routes and stuff like that.
His father was a rep for Taylor.
Right. Well, Thuman's Routes, and he sold Taylor Ham and everything else, right? So, and Taylor Pork Roll, if you will. But anyway, the story is this. All right. Back when John Taylor first invented Taylor Pork Roll, he called it Taylor Ham. All right. And the place that he originally marketed it, not that he didn't put it everywhere else in New Jersey too, but the main place, the place that he pushed it the most was up in the New York, metro area, because there was more population up there. So he sent it up there, more delis up there, and so forth and so on. And the FDA came to him and said, "Hey, no, stop. There's no ham in this. You need to call it something else." So he said, "Okay, we'll call it Taylor Pork Roll." But he had already marketed it in North Jersey for more than anywhere else as Taylor Ham. So it just went generation after generation after generation after generation, called it Taylor Ham. And even though it wasn't, it was Taylor Pork Roll. But and that's how that came to be in North Jersey.
At northeastern Jersey.
It's not an excuse, but the only other argument I can make for North Jersey with that is, like, you don't say, "Hey, I need some cotton swabs," right?
Northeastern Jersey.
Northeastern Jersey, right?
Yeah.
You don't say, "I need some cotton swabs," right? You say, "I need Q-tips." You don't say, I need a bandage for my hand. No, I need a Band-Aid for my hand.
I say it a lot.
Calling it the name. It is what it is. But I live in South Jersey now, or Central Jersey. If you're
in Central Jersey.
Central. I'm right on the border of South and Central.
John Stewart. No, Route 70 is the border.
Well, yeah. All right. I'm 5 miles from the border then.
Yes, but John, none other than, to take your phrase, none other than John Stewart ruled that Central Jersey exists.
So, Central Jersey exists, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's between the Raritan and
Raritan Bridge and Route 70. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, it's been verified by the New Jersey Game and Wildlife Commission, because they have hunting zones, north, central, and south.
Hemp hunting zones?
Have hunting zones.
I thought he said hemp hunting zones. I thought he said.
Well, no, hemp hunting is a whole different sport entirely.
It's a whole different sport entirely.
Yeah. It is one of the most laid-back sports.
A very, very, very relaxed sport. Absolutely. But in any event.
But the Northeast is all about tradition. Mm-hmm. As I like to put it, I'm going to spin it one way and then spin it the way that I like to spin it. The one way is they're all about tradition. They're steeped in tradition. They like holding on to those things that have been cultural for so long.
Sure.
So that's the nice way to put it. The other way I like to put it is it's a region that just likes to be wrong all the time.
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it, right? But what's funny is that I moved down here.
How do they say marinara in the Northeast? Marinade.
I say marinara.
But they say marinade.
It's marinade. Marinade. Madanad. Madanad.
It's like Capicola up here. It's gabagool.
Gabagool. Got the
What is
L
that
on the
about?
end. Gabagool. We've had this discussion.
And
Even
they
on
don't
the sports
even
show or whatever,
they don't
so.
even say that in Italy. If someone from Northeast
Oh, it's
Jersey started talking to somebody
it's Capicola.
in Italy, they'd be like, "What are you saying?"
It's Capicola in Italy. It's not
In Italy,
Gabagool.
Capicola.
It's it's not. It's marinara and it's not marinade.
Yeah, it's not marinade.
But I say, like, I'll say mozzarella because I grew up in an Italian house and everything else.
But I will call it mutz because I'm
Mutz,
lazy.
right? Mutz, whatever, mozzarella. But I don't say marinade. I say marinara. So it's just weird. It just depends what it is. But anyway, I moved to South Jersey, right? And I'll call it pork roll now. And I was actually talking to my father not that long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and he said, "What'd you guys have for breakfast?" Oh, we went out and I got a bagel with pork roll, egg, and cheese. And he said, "Excuse me."
Because that's he's from North Arlington,
right?
He's in the area of New Jersey that just
so
enjoys being wrong,
right? So anyway, so there you go. But that's great though. You're releasing the 15 packs. That's awesome to hear. And that's going to be it's the 15 packs in the mix packs too, or that's a 12 pack in the mix packs?
Yep, 15 pack on the mix pack too.
So how would they? It's 4 different beers, you said, right?
Yeah, 4 beers. So basically, it's 4 IPA, 4 pale, 4 porter, 3 cherry.
3 cherry,
Triple.
3 Belgian cherry.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So we've gone through the anniversaries. When is your anniversary?
October
11th.
October. Yep.
So
October 11th officially is.
Have you guys figured out what you're going to do for your anniversary this year?
Beer wise.
No, if we have one.
If you have
beer wise. We're not talking about the celebration itself.
Oh,
beer wise.
Actual beer, yeah.
No, we have not figured it out, but
Gotcha.
we will have to figure it out sooner rather than later because generally it's going to be something that's going to be heavier, stronger.
It's heavier, longer. Yeah, exactly.
So like a barrel aged Palo Santo.
Oh, there you go.
Barrel aged Palo Santo.
Yeah.
An
amped up version of it.
And it's called the Lager Room. There you go.
Actually,
but a Palo Santo Porter is an L, so it can't be the Lager Room. So
how many guests have we tried to get in on a collaboration?
I know we got to do a bunch of collabs, but Dave and I have a bunch of ideas as far as beers go. So we got to get started on some of these collabs. But in any event, that's awesome to hear that you're doing the 15 packs and that. Anything else long range on the horizon?
Because you guys have a lot of space there, so you don't really need to expand, do you?
No, we have 2 buildings basically. It's roughly give or take 13,000 square feet total.
That's awesome.
But the one of the best things we have is the cold box. It's 1,200 square foot cold box. Drive-in cold box. That's one of the greatest things.
Drive-in cold box. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
what are you driving into this? You like the forklifts, right?
Yeah. So we but we also have a lagering tank that is on wheels actually, and so basically we'll put it in the cold box and roll it in and out and just try to maintain as much of a stable temperature as we can. But yeah, so we've done a Pilsner so far, and we have to do some more of it. Just trying to squeeze it in the schedule. What's that?
How big of a lagering tank?
It's basically it's about 30 barrel, but
that's the size of a lagering tank. Yeah,
that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
We're 20 barrel brew house, but we have all 40 barrel fermenters and 40 barrel brights, and we have 180 barrel bright that basically almost always dedicated to IPA production. So, which is still our number one selling brand
because you can turn that faster.
Yeah, the green can, but one of the biggest things that helped us is we bought a centrifuge years ago, and literally, I mean, it shaves off days off of every batch that we do. So it just adding a centrifuge actually increased our capacity 40-50%. So
so we'll have to come in and help them do a lager.
We'll do a lager. Absolutely. We'll work on that. And Matt said that you should do a porter aged on Amberana wood.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, neither do I. And this is the thing.
Matt, school us.
Yes, give us the 411. Matt is one of the worldliest persons I've ever met.
Absolutely.
John, have you met Matt?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say he's Have you seen his photography?
Absolutely. I was just gonna say something about that. Yeah, his Facebook pictures are amazing. But
absolutely. He's Here we go. He's got some. I got some stuff here. There we go.
What we got?
It's a wood that adds crazy vanilla and cinnamon notes.
Oh, to the porter? Damn.
There you go. Yeah, John, I think you should do a porter aged on Amburano.
Yeah.
After I get done here, I'm going to go right online and pick some up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
And bring Matt in to help.
We'll bring Matt into Matt. Matt'll come down. We'll bring him in. He'll help. He'll help Megan brew it, and we'll help you drink it, John.
All right, I like it.
That's right in my wheelhouse.
That works for me. So that's good.
Amburano. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Had a great time. Great. This was an awesome show.
Especially hungover as fuck.
Yeah. And what you went through yesterday with your birthday drinking and all the bourbon you had and everything else. Thank you for being such a sport and coming on for one of our longer shows.
Yeah, and not for nothing. If I'm hungover, I don't want to deal with me and John.
Yeah. If I'm hungover, I don't want to deal with me. So we really appreciate it. And Matt just said, he said Spellbound has a 20-barrel DME system just like Cypress, which he brews on. So there you go.
So bring him in, and we'll
bring him down.
He knows what you're working on.
There you go. So anyway, like I said, thank you for coming on. We'll definitely have you back on, and we'll definitely gonna be down there. I'll probably see you this weekend at some point. I'll text you and let you know.
Oh, fantastic!
I'll probably. I've got I think through April. I think I'm booked, but sometime in May.
We'll have fun in Cape May.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that, especially hitting Ocean City. It's going to be a brewery and lighthouse heavy tour.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Well, again, happy birthday to you, John.
Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, Dave. It'll be his birthday before the next show.
And happy birthday, John. Well
we'll do two more shows before my birthday.
Shows before your birthday. This is true.
So happy birthday to you guys. And Dave, have a great weekend. John, I'll probably see you this weekend. Thank you again for coming on. And we'll wrap the show for today. We want to thank everybody for watching.
Here comes the spiel.
And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. And remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 6:30. For those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. John, once again, happy birthday, and thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon. All right? Have a wonderful week and a even better weekend. And we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye, folks.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rug. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck. This little penny went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy's eating corned beef in the back of a Ford Pinto. You better run, you better go, 'cause you're messing with a big toe.